got
All right,
it.
bet.
Hello, and welcome to the Basketball Addicts podcast. It's the world's greatest podcast in our
That's a
minds, and
fact.
hopefully in your minds as well. And we always answer this question, and it's the question that everybody wants to know: is how can you hate from outside the finals when you can't even get in? But we're not even there yet. Right now, we're gonna talk about how can you hate from outside, and you're not even the greatest player of all time. Wait, pause. Wait, one more time. How can you even hate when you don't even know what greatness is? That's what our topic is today.
That's a good one.
How can you even hate when you don't even know what greatness is?
Yeah.
That's our topic for the day, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to talk about what makes a great basketball player. What makes a LeBron? What makes a Jordan a Jordan? What makes a Magic so magical?
Yeah.
What makes Pistol Pete?
Yeah.
What makes Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I'm sorry, I'm trying to think of some stuff right now.
No, it's good. It's good that you're thinking of names.
Giannis so freaky? What makes Curry a chef? These are the questions we want to ask right now. I'm on a roll right now. Let me see who else I can think of. What makes
a bird fly?
There we go. What makes Wade County? I don't know. You get what I'm trying to get to. So we're just going to talk about that today. And this is a really important topic because so often, and if you listen to us, if I've said this before. I'm just going to reiterate this because this is a very important, analysis of where today's game is going right now. We put too much emphasis on team achievements and count those as individual achievements, but in the game of basketball, it's a team sport. Championships is a team accolade. That does not determine greatness, because greatness is individual. Teams can be great together, but when we talk about great player or players, we're talking about the individuals, the LeBrons, the Jordans, the Magics. Those are individual players, the Kareems, the Russ, the KD, the Kyries. These are individual players. Take them off a team. These are the players. What makes these players great? That's individual. Scoring titles are individual. Assist records are individual. Steals records are individuals. Championships are team achievements. You can't win a championship by yourself. Jordan couldn't do it without Scottie. LeBron couldn't do it without Kyrie and Kevin Love and Wade and Bosh and Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
Kareem couldn't do it without I'm sorry. It always escapes me.
Oscar and Magic.
Oscar Robertson. You couldn't do it without Oscar Robertson. Magic couldn't do it without Kareem. Larry Bird couldn't do it without Robert Parrish, without Kevin McHale. Couldn't do it without Tiny Archibald. They could not have done it without them.
Nope.
Tim Duncan could not have done it without Greg Pop, Tony Parker, David Robinson, Manu. Yeah. Kawhi could not have done it without that. Kawhi couldn't have done it without Kyle Lowry. Yeah, Kawhi was the only star on that team, without a doubt.
Pascal was really important on that team.
Exactly. Yes, Kawhi was like the most important person on that team, without a doubt. That's without a doubt, right? The only star. But he couldn't have done it without Kyle Lowry, without Fred VanVleet, without Pascal Siakam. Couldn't have done it without Nick Nurse. Sure. These are team achievements. We're talking about the individual. What makes these players great? And I think that this is a perfect intro. I'm just going to hand it off to Jason, because I know he's been burning with this topic. This is something he's probably been thinking about for a long time. So I'm going to hand it off to him, and we're going to have this discussion. And, once we post this, if you guys want to reach out to us and, have this discussion with us, I'm all open for it, because these are what makes these individuals great, not the teams. Yeah. The individual. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think, the point of this is whenever you want to try to figure out the equation of greatness, I feel like there has to be some common understanding. And I feel like it only comes with knowledge, because somebody's opinion might be different than mine and Chris's. But if there wasn't a correct way of viewing basketball, then we wouldn't have anybody that wins championships. We wouldn't have MVPs. We wouldn't have things that you can see from championship teams and give you consistency to learn what makes them dominant and what makes them great. Their passing, defense, teamwork, camaraderie. Okay, players that emulate those type of things probably are worth more, right? It comes down to impact. Okay, when you're determining impact, what's more valuable than other things? And it's important to think about those things because there is definite answers to those questions. There's definite answers to greatness being able to be an equation, I guess you could say. There is ways to figure that out. Some players do some things that aren't as equatable to greatness and actually winning games, because the point of determining who's the greater player is not about, oh, we're gonna have 3-on-3 tournament, who's the best, go give us a bucket guy. That doesn't equate to rings. If that did, then Melo would have done more in the East when he was really cooking with the Knicks. He would have done more. But that man doesn't defend. That man doesn't pass. That man doesn't rebound. That man's everything's a tough shot. He's forcing up shots a lot. He doesn't inspire his teammates. He's not a leader. No winning. Right? He might be a great scorer, might be great in your blacktop, but he doesn't equate to greatness as much. It's about equating the greatness. Who equates to winning more? Who impacts winning at the highest level more? Because there's some players that impact winning over the regular season. Yeah, sure. But when the lights are on in the NBA playoffs, it's when things really matter. Can they do it? Some people don't have that. Some people don't. And I think that it's important for us to talk about this because there's some arguments that get made for players that should never be in the GOAT talk, like Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant, you have to understand that Kobe Bean Bryant is never going to be better than Michael Jordan. Ever. Because of athletic gifts. But we'll get to that later. Kobe's not a great passer. Kobe, everything's a tough shot. He doesn't inspire his team. He inspires his teammates to be like really hard ass on his teammates. Yeah, sure. But he doesn't improve his teammates with his passing ability. He has his weaknesses. He's not a great 3-point shooter. He has his weaknesses. He's not better than Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, players like that who uplift teammates. You have to understand, if that wasn't the truth, then why do all the players that uplift their teammates always go so much farther than what people expect? If we would have said, hey, Chris, in a decade, LeBron James is going to go to the NBA Finals 9 out of 10 times, you would have been, no way, not possible, because you didn't understand basketball to understand why he can equate to greatness so much. That is overachieving your expectations. Larry Bird only had Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish. Like, Larry Bird had a really great run where he was doing things that were more than expectations in the 80s. Like, there's very much a common theme because people don't understand the equation of greatness to basketball. It's a very complex thing, but it can be explained very easily. And it'll allow you to understand what players are truly great, what players are really, really, really special, and what players are overrated and don't equate to winning basketball as much as you think. Right, so this is the conversation that we're going to be having, and it's going to come down to a lot of things. It's about discovering what things are really important, what things are way more valuable than other things. And I feel like this is going to be a great conversation we're going to have today. We're going to bring up multiple points. I mean, a few of them that I know off the top of my head is scoring, rebounding, defending. How valuable is passing? How valuable is athletic gifts? There's certain fear factor that gets put in by players like Michael Jordan, putting fear into everybody else in the 90s because of his gifts and his abilities. How much is that factored in? How much is leadership factored in? Okay, so then after we talk about all these things, because there's a counter argument to every argument. Like I said before, scoring may not be the most valuable thing if Melo isn't as valuable as he should be just because he's a scorer, right? Just because you can score doesn't mean you're great. Just because you score doesn't mean that you're as valuable as the points per game number that you have on your stat sheet, right? So we want to open up your guys' mind to think about the game of basketball a little bit more in depth so you can understand why when we say LeBron James is this great, Giannis is that guy is way beyond everybody else in the NBA right now. He's in his own league. So you guys can understand it better. So is there like a certain area or player that you want to talk about first, Chris? Because there's so many different things that we're gonna hit and talk about today. It's gonna be fun. So I wanted to see where you want to start off with.
First things first, I wanted to just kind of quickly rebuttal your Kobe Bryant thing. I know we've normally the pretty much the same thoughts about this, but one thing I will say is that that's kind of been something that's followed Kobe throughout his career, is that he doesn't play well with others. It's a me game for him. But I kind of disagree with that. I believe maybe in the beginning it was, and that's kind of the narrative that was played off the fact that Shaq left and Shaq was like, Kobe don't pass the ball. I'm trying to just be a little bit funny right there, trying to mock him a little bit. I respect Shaq with everything. Please don't step on me. It's just that kind of narrative just kind of followed him, and I don't believe that that's quite correct, because if what I'm saying is true, right, in the beginning when I said that championships are a team accolade, there has to be some form of inspiration from the star player to the supporting cast. There has to be some form of, you guys, we have to go out here and win every night, put it on my back, but I'm also leaning on you. Jordan couldn't do it without Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr hit the shot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I think in that sense, I think that's just a bad narrative that start following him. So I really don't want to say that, he didn't equate to winning, his way, because 5 rings shows that he was a team player in some aspect.
Yeah, I can understand where you're coming from that. I guess I was just saying, I've heard people say him top 3 all time, top 5 all time, and that's where I just want to draw the line. Because, I mean, like Kareem, Larry Bird, Magic, we'll explain why in the podcast. Mm-hmm. But there should be a line there between him and those kind of players, in my opinion, which we'll explain in the podcast. But
yeah,
I feel like I was just fighting against the top 3 stuff because a lot of people from our age group don't go back and watch old basketball, and they only have heard MJ, Kobe, Shaq, LeBron. I'm like, okay, I'll just put them all top 4. Like, they're not all top 4.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's differences. So that's where I was going with. I could see where you're coming from. Yeah.
I completely understand that as well, now that I'm glad that we had this conversation, because it's like, I was wanting to get in your mind and see exactly where you were coming from. But I also wanted to say that, some people, there are people out there, and I know we're going to get into our topic in a second. I just have a couple things. I know there are some people out there who have said that the players now have pushed past some of those greats. And I'm like, I don't think they're there yet. I think they're inching closer, but they're not there yet. I wouldn't take somebody currently and throw them above like Magic, throw them above Bird, throw them above Shaq, throw them above Kobe. I wouldn't do that right now.
Those guys, yeah.
I wouldn't throw him above Jordan. Like, the only person who's playing right now who I will put in this conversation is LeBron. Other than that, everybody else is like, they're on the outside looking in, but they're encroaching on this list. Is what I'm getting.
I think Giannis is definitely definitely a description of that, where he's on the outside looking in, encroaching on the list.
Yeah,
it's like we're talking. I feel like he's close to Hakeem right now in my ranking, just mentally, of where Giannis is. But we're gonna talk about it. It's a lot of fun. This is gonna be a great podcast. I can already feel it's in the air.
Yeah.
So do you want me to lead into a category, or do you want to talk about a category first?
One thing that's been on my mind a lot, because I'm gonna go ahead and start this. I'm just gonna start it. One thing that's been on my mind a lot is that I think that a very important component of what makes a great player in any sport is mindset.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Mindset. mindset. We talk about it all the time. He has a high IQ, high basketball IQ, high sports IQ, high this, high this. It's mindset. These are the type of players that prepare on an otherworldly level. Remember, LeBron was like, he was playing he was in the middle of a game. He was telling the guy how to run his own play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about. It's the mindset. You don't think that how much film is being watched, how much game is being played, how much time are you putting in day after day after day when the cameras are no longer rolling? How much time are you putting in to hone your craft? The great players aren't born great. They earn their greatness. They put the time in every day. Yes, they are given some God-given physical otherworldly gifts. Otherworldly gifts. They are given these gifts. They're born with this. But that only gets you but so far.
A good example of that is Gerald Green. Gerald Green had all the gifts.
All the gifts.
Didn't get it. He's a bench guy.
What is this like? What is your mind like?
Yeah.
Yes, we could say that, Jordan, he was threatening to fight his teammates and stuff like that, but that was his mindset. He had a never die, never lose, never quit attitude, and he wanted that out of everybody in the locker room.
Yes.
What is your mind like? Tap into this. If you want to be a great player, we have to know what you think on a daily basis. How do you prepare?
Yeah.
How do you prepare to play the game every day?
Yeah.
This is why I think, me personally, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think it's very obvious when we see somebody with the right mindsets, because every year they grow, they get better, they impact winning more. Look at Giannis. Giannis is a completely different player since when he was a rookie. He didn't have anything that he has now. That's all from a mindset. That's all from great work ethic. I mean, MJ is a great example of that. LeBron is correct. I mean, Magic's a great mindset, great basketball IQ. So is Bird. These guys, I mean, Larry Bird was known for running up and down the stadium, the stairs of the stadium, pre-games and stuff like that. These guys are different. They're different. They're different breeds. These high Kobe is a guy like that where he sucked every ounce of his talent through just sheer hard work. I mean, Kareem's like that as well, where he was really one of the first few guys to really take workouts and training extremely seriously in the NBA, because I remember reading his book, and he learned it from UCLA when John Wooden was his coach. So
John Wooden.
Yeah, I mean, even Bill Russell took things very seriously. These guys are just special winners. So I completely want to support that argument that you have.
And then think about it this way. Kobe, one of the greatest hard worker to ever lace up a pair of shoes. Yeah. Mind is on 1,000. Think about this for a second.
Yeah.
This man had the foresight to say, I'm going to train my left hand, so if I ever can't use my right hand, I can still dominate. Remember that game?
Yeah. Yeah.
He hurt his right hand, couldn't shoot with his right hand, and he did everything with his left.
Still giving buckets. Still giving buckets.
How prepared are you? What is your mindset like? Yeah. We're not talking about no shade, but I don't see it. We're not talking about Ben Simmons right now.
Oh, no.
What is his mindset like? We're not talking about... It's a lot of guys. Who else can I think of real quick off the top of my head? Because my mind's going right now. I'm flowing. Give me somebody.
I'm trying.
Never mind. Skip it. If it comes back, it comes back. What is your mind like? How are you preparing to play the game? Is your mind on greatness? Like these players, Kobe, left-handed, gave buckets. Remember, he hurt his leg.
Yeah,
and shot a free throw and knocked it down and went back to the bench. Was like, man, I can't do it. What's your mind like?
Yeah.
Isaiah Thomas had a leg injury, bleeding from the side of his head. That's a dog. That's what makes players great. It's your mindset. He won that game. He was like, I don't care what it takes. I'm not going to lose. That's what separates the great players from the good players, from the okay players, from the players that don't even make it.
Yeah.
It's your mindset. Because when you have a great mindset, you would work and work and work. You're not going to accept, oh, I'm coming off the bench. You're not going to accept that. You're going to work until you become that player. Everybody has a ceiling, but you can work. Kobe's a prime example of that. He worked. His mindset was different. That's what makes him great.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
Completely agree. Yeah. I think
nobody else right
now. Yeah, me either. I think of Anthony Davis.
There it is, Anthony Davis. You mind?
Man doesn't touch a basketball for like 2 months. Yeah, go ahead.
Anthony Davis. I see the physical gifts, but I feel that you don't prepare. That's what's gonna separate you. We can't. I'm not. A couple years ago, he was like, "Oh yeah, he's top 5. He's gonna take over from LeBron." We don't see that no more. What's your mindset like? What's going on up here? Did it cut off upstairs when you won a championship ring? Where's that Anthony Davis at? Yeah, you get injured. Sure. But have you tapped into the mind of LeBron James yet? LeBron went years. The Iron Man of the league didn't miss a game. I mean, he missed games. He didn't have an injury that kept him sidelined. Years. Have you tapped in with him and figured out what his mind is like? What's the resources that you've used? You injured every year, every couple months during the season, you're gone for months at a time. Yo, pinky hurt. My thumb broke. Can't play basketball. How are you working out? What is your mind like? Do you have the mindset to be a great player? Because we see the gifts. It's there.
Mm-hmm.
It's been proven. We seen what you did in New Orleans. We seen what you did in your first year with LA. But now it's the second and third year, fourth year. This is your fourth year in LA you about to go on to. What have you done since? What's your mind like? That's what's going to separate you. If you want to be top 5 and consider top 5 and stop having people shit on you all the time and call you street clothes, tap into this. What's your mind like? Okay.
All right. I feel like a really natural segue from this topic is passing. Improving to your teammates. So, this is a topic that really, in value, is completely under-realized. Because there are different tiers of passing. There's different types of passers. There's some passers that are like Russell Westbrook, where they might have great assist numbers, but it's mostly from collapsing defenses. It's not from, man, everything I do makes everything easier for my teammates. I'm just great basketball IQ. Every pass I make is just amazing. I manipulate the game, the defenses. That was more of a system assists. It wasn't greatness assists. It wasn't my mind is just so ridiculously high. Everything's perfectly executed. It was a little gimmicky. Russell Westbrook stats wasn't overly impactful on winning. We have to talk about some great players that have been amazing and should be equated more highly because of it, and why certain players should be higher than other players. So, a few players, first things first, is LeBron James. LeBron James is the prime example. LeBron James is a computer. Yeah, he may never have led the league in assists, but it should not matter because the man's dropping 30 a game, right? He's not Chris Paul, where most of his stuff is from passing. You have to understand is when he manipulates the defense to such an extreme level, like he's able to do, it makes everything easier for his teammates. Whatever the 100% version of J.R. Smith is, that's what it's going to be. Whatever the 100% version of Kyle Korver was, it's what that was going to be. whatever the 100% version of Tristan Thompson, Anthony Davis, Chris Bosh was going to be, that's what it was. You have to understand that there's an extreme value of elevating your teammates to a different standing and a different level that they would not have been in without you. And if you don't believe me that it is like that, then try to explain to me why the Cavs had 2 number 1 picks without LeBron there. Try to explain to me why they couldn't win without him. Try to explain to me why when he left the Miami Heat, you never heard anything about the Miami Heat again. I mean, Chris Bosh got hurt pretty quickly after and had that heart issue. But, it's about his ability to uplift everybody. The team without him is nothing compared to what it is with him.
That's true.
You have to understand that that's how he got to so many finals and lost, because his teams weren't that as good as his opponents. Who cares about rings? Rings don't matter when we're talking about individual greatness. But the point is what we're talking about is with passing, is you have to equate it to an extremely high level. I'd much rather have somebody that's averaging 22, 8, and 6, and 8 being the passing and really manipulating defenses, and rather have them than 28 points per game player. And I have a prime example of this. I would much rather have Scottie Pippen than Carmelo Anthony, because I just completely described both of those players.
Yeah.
Scottie Pippen was an amazing defender. Scottie Pippen was an amazing attacker of the basket. Scottie Pippen was a before his time point forward. Like, he was legitimately, even when he was on the Olympics, they had point guards. They had John Stockton. He led the Olympics in assists. Led the Olympics in assists when they had the Dream Team. He was a great basketball IQ player, and he has 6 rings. You know, Michael Jordan had how many rings Michael Jordan had before Scottie? 0. Now, I'm not saying Michael Jordan is a great player, because we'll get to him, right? But this is about guys like Scottie Pippen that improve everything.
Yeah.
And why? I would much rather have Scottie Pippen than Carmelo Anthony. Yeah, you might look at the stat sheet. You might not know much about basketball and see 28 points per game versus 22. I'd much rather have Melo. Well, you're fucking stupid. Okay? Because Melo is not equating to winning. It's very, very easy to see, because everything's making easier by Scottie Pippen. And if you don't understand me, then why, when Michael Jordan was off the team, did they go to the Eastern Conference Finals and almost go to the NBA Finals and lose to the Knicks?
Yeah.
Why did they win like 55, 56 games? Hello? Scottie Pippen was the best player on the team. He led the winning in the East.
Yeah.
Melo ever go to the Eastern Conference Finals? No.
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 Not that I know of. No.
Never. Melo had Allen Iverson averaging like 26, 27 with the Nuggets. Melo had J.R. Smith, who was crazy. Like, the man was 14, 15 points per game of ridiculousness. Iman Shumpert. Chauncey Billups. Like, those Denver Nuggets teams weren't that bad. Like, but you have to understand that Melo might be a great scorer, yes, but passing is more important than scoring, because it's making everybody easier for everybody else. And you have to be able to equate that, because Scottie Pippen is better than Melo. He's better. Yeah. But you wouldn't understand that if you don't understand the value of passing, because the value of passing is this. Look at the teams that have won the last 40 years. They all are good passers. They either have a great passer and think, oh, we had Larry Bird. He covers our passing. We had a great point guard like Bob Cousy. We have great passing. Nor like the Warriors now, where you have Draymond Green. We have great passing. LeBron James, great passing. Giannis, great passing. San Antonio Spurs, they had a system that involved great passing with Greg Popovich. They might have had a great, yes, but it was they made up for not having a great point guard. That was Tony Parker was a good passer, but he wasn't like John Stockton or something like that. They made up with ball movement. Exactly. It leads to winning because it's infectious. It makes everything easier for everybody else, and their confidence is higher. So you know what they do? They play harder on defense. They play harder. They dive for balls. They feel like they're winning. They're feeling like they're involved. The 12th guy on the bench feels involved because passing, because it's infectious, because it leads to winning. It's been leading to winning since beginning of basketball. I mean, the Boston Celtics, go watch the Boston Celtics in the 60s. They were running offense and running motion offenses. Players are coming off screens and passing. They had Bob Cousy. Bill Russell's a good passer. Like, passing has always equated to winning, but for some people that just don't know basketball that in depth, they'll just look at scoring. Scoring. Points per game. It does not make as much of a difference. Look at Jimmy Butler. Is Jimmy Butler only great because he really pops off in the playoffs and scores well? No, Jimmy Butler is more great than what you think because he passes the ball really well as well. Before he got to Miami, he wasn't as great at that. But when he got to Miami, something clicked for him, and he really elevates teammates. Really, at a high level. I mean, guys like Magic versus Kobe. Why is Magic Johnson better for Kobe? Magic Johnson never averaged more than 25 points per game. Magic Johnson is the greatest elevator of other players ever. Greatest passer of all time. The man could score, yes, but he's not as good of a scorer as Kobe Bryant. You know, Kobe's probably a better defender. You know, Magic's the better rebounder. Okay, why, Jason? Because, one, the scoring's not too far off, where it's not like he's averaging 16 points per game. He's averaging like 22, 23. But you have to watch him play. The man elevates everybody else around him to such an extreme degree that his impact on the game of basketball is higher than a guy like Kobe. Because Kobe's not doing that. Not to that extreme of a degree. And there are degrees to how much somebody impacts a basketball game through passing and their elevation of teammates. And there's some people that are way greater than everybody else at it, like Larry Bird. Larry Bird was a great passer, high basketball IQ, elevates teammates. That's why he's above Kobe as well. Because Larry Bird averages 27, 28, 29 points per game. The scoring's very close between, like, pure scoring debate between Kobe and Bird is close, really close. But the passing ability of Larry Bird puts him way above him. So you have to understand these things because they really matter, because if they didn't equate to winning, that we wouldn't have such a ridiculously long track record of being able to show you that you're wrong. Okay? Look at the Bulls had a triangle offense that involved movement and passing. The 80s dominated by Bird and Magic. Passing. Like the 70s had a lot of guys that would, we win this year, but most of those guys had guys like the Boston Celtics had oh, dear goodness. Dave Cowens was a really good passer. JoJo White was a point guard who won the NBA Finals MVP. Great passer. The Bill Walton won a ring in the 70s. Great passer before his time at the center position. Like, you guys have to understand that there's an extreme correlation between Oscar Robertson won a ring with Kareem as well in the 70s. Extreme correlation between passing and great ball movement and great uplifting of teammates and winning championships. And you have to equate how good of a passer somebody is and how much they elevate their teammates to equate how great somebody is. And it should be weighed heavily, much more than it currently is. Much, much more. So that's my take on passing, so I wanted to see what you think about it.
So I wanted to take it a step further, because as you're talking, my mind gets to going, right?
Right.
So the first thing I'm going to say is that passing is a very important quality when it comes to great players, because once again, it's being prepared for that moment. Passing does something to the people around you. When you pass the ball, it builds a sense of trust. Oh, he's the guy, but he trusts me enough to take this shot, to put points on the board. He has a faith in my abilities. So it becomes psychological, not only for the star, but for the role player as well. I'm going to just throw a quick, just an example, right? So we're nowhere near on the level of any NBA player, right?
No.
But Jason had an understanding of the psychology of basketball, right? When we played in the gym, Jay, answer me this. What was one thing you knew we had to do if we were on the same team? What was one thing you knew you had to do?
There's
If me and you on the same team, there's only one thing you knew you had to do. What is that one thing? Go ahead, say it.
I needed to pass the ball to Chris, because if you don't pass the ball to Chris, he doesn't try on defense, and when he tries on defense, he really is good.
There we go. Trust. It's the psychology of it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to understand your personnel. There's an understanding. I'm pretty sure there's some guys out there who's like, you know what? Listen, they are on the highest level, but I'm pretty sure they have some form of that mindset where it's like, if I don't touch the ball, if I'm not making an impact, if I don't feel like I'm getting enough touches, I'm not going to do what I'm supposed to do.
Wouldn't be surprised if PJ Tucker's that kind of guy.
There has to be that level of, there's that level of player. It definitely is.
Yeah.
And that's where it comes down to the psychology of passing and why this particular, asset of a great player is so important, because it builds the trust within the team.
Yeah.
Championships are a team accolade. This builds that trust so you can get your team going. This is how you know that you're making the team better. This is what really making the team better is. When we say when we say LeBron elevates the team, he gets the team to trust him and he trusts his team. When we say that Larry Bird makes the team better, he got the team to trust him and they trusted him and he trusted his team. This is what that means.
Mm-hmm.
This is exactly what that means. This is just definitely just a piggyback off completely what you said, because you summed it all the way up. This is exactly just what that means. It just means that they were able to build a certain level of trust within their teammates, that they trusted them in those big moments, and they knew that if it came down to it, I knew he trusted me in that big moment. Why do you think Steve Kerr was able to take that shot?
Trust.
Mm-hmm. That's elevating the team. They say you elevating the team, but your team just trusts you.
Mm-hmm.
You think that, Steve Kerr had to be a seer to believe it, that Curry can make these shots. He has so much trust in Curry that Curry shoots wherever he wants on the floor, and he don't even call it a bad shot anymore.
Nope.
Trust. You think that if it was just some random guy on the floor and he's pulling up from half court and stuff like that, even if he misses it, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's trust. Steph Curry's team trusts him, and he trusts the team.
Yeah. I agree. So, is there anything else you want to say?
No, we can move on.
Okay, so there's a few topics that are still up in the air to be taken. There's athletic dominance. There's tough shot making, defense. Those are the three main topics. And rebounding, I guess.
Okay, just wherever you want to go.
Wherever I want to go? Okay.
Wherever you want to go.
Easy. I've been thinking about this. So, we're going to talk about athletic gifts. All right. So, athletic dominance is important to understand when you're doing your equation of greatness. Now, there are some rare cases, like Luka Doncic, Larry Bird, where they have no athletic greatness. None. I guess athletic greatness at height. But they have no athletic greatness. But their skill is so ridiculously overpowered that they overcome those things. It's very rare. But when you're doing the equation of greatness, you have to be able to visualize why a guy, there's multiple guys that fit in this category. There's like so many. Because we are basketball addicts, we really know. But
I got David Thompson.
David Thompson's an example of that, yeah. But I guess the first player I want to talk about is very obvious, is MJ.
Oh, yeah.
Why MJ is great. You have to talk about and understand athletic dominance allows a player to do some things that are absolutely unstoppable and no matter what you do. And where they just have something in them athletically that's just, they can do X, Y, and Z too, but once they do that, shit, I can't do anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and MJ's is, once he leaves his feet, oh shit, I can't do anything. Because his athletic greatness is, he has great speed, quickness. He's the most athletically gifted 6'6" player ever. Pound per pound, he might be the most athletically gifted player of all time. What he does is ridiculous. He's not like an overly strong player, but he has enough strength to get by in the 90s. his ability to be quick first step, to have great vertical athleticism, great quicks, all of that is amazing. But his trump card and his amazingness comes down to one thing and one thing only, in my opinion. And that's when he's in the air, he does something that nobody else has done before, nobody else has done since then to an extreme degree like him, which is the body control. His ability to shift his body like there is some magical forces controlling him allows him to overcome everything. Yao Ming's at the ring, doesn't matter. He's going to do a 360 spin and just throw it off the window. There's two people at the rim. Well, he's going to fade back while jumping forward in midair and put it off the glass. There's three people on the rim. Doesn't matter. He's going to pull something out of his ass and finish around the rim and make it look like it was easy. He makes that look easy, okay? Because that dominance puts fear into his opponent's heart, because it's about, don't let him get to the rim. Why do you think his mid-range games is so gosh darn effective? Because they had to play with fear of, okay, he's really good at the mid-range, but what am I going to do if I step up and I get really into him? He's just going to step around me and my center's not going to be able to do anything. Nothing. Can't do anything, because MJ is ridiculous in mid-air and is so overpowered that it allows his greatness to be greater. You have to understand that greatness and that dominance of a single aspect of the game of basketball, where it's just no matter what you do, you can't stop it, has to increase the greatness of a player, because there's levels to it. There's a few players that are in that tier. Shaq's in the tier with strength, pure strength. He gets the ball near the rim. I don't care if you bring out 5 players. He's dunking on them. It's just force. It's just body control. It's like, he doesn't even have like more than probably 6 to 7 post moves. Doesn't have more than, he can't shoot the basketball outside of 8 feet around the rim, but it doesn't matter, okay? He catches the ball. I'm big. I'm strong. You can't do anything with him. He's got smooth feet, dominance, athletic dominance to an extreme degree. We have to factor it into his greatness. That's why I think he's better than a guy like Kareem. That's why I think he's better than guys like Bill Russell, Hakeem. I think he's better than Kobe, because his greatness is just so ridiculously overpowered that defenses have to do so many things to try to stop it. LeBron James, what does everybody talk about? Once he jumps off that left leg, everybody talks about his one-legged jump is ridiculous. Where he jumps off that left leg, one-legged jump. I've heard the Detroit Pistons talk about it in like 2007 or something. I've heard in some sort of interview. It was like somebody, I think it was Tayshaun Prince or Taurean Prince, where he jumps off of that one left. Prince. Yeah, Tayshaun Prince. He jumps off that left leg, and apparently it's like a go-go stick, and it's just one legged, and he jumps like somebody trying to, it's just ridiculous. And once he gets off his feet, nothing you can do because of strength and force. And he's like, he's like the middle linebacker of the football, basketball world. He's got that great strength and straight speed combo where it's like ridiculous what you have to deal with. And once he puts his shoulder into you, it's over, right? And then everything else comes from that. Then this passing ability. He's able to dice you up after that. We don't want to let LeBron James get the rim. We have to overplay and overhelp. What are we going to do? Oh my gosh. We can't do anything. Look at Giannis. Giannis can't shoot a 3-point shot. Doesn't matter? No, because once he gets near the rim, it's like, he's so tall, he's so strong, he's so fast, he's so athletic. What are we going to do? Nothing. You have to factor that into his greatness. Wilt Chamberlain 7'1", great speed, quickness, athleticism. Once he gets near the rim, you can't do anything. You have to factor that into the greatness, because the reason why this is so important is because that will never go into the stat sheet in the way it disrupts defenses, because it makes everything they do overplay to try to stop whatever you're great at. Right? Look at Steph Curry. We have people double teaming Steph Curry at the 3-point line, all these type of things to try to stop him from shooting from the half court line. And defenses get all, jumbled up because of that. And it's unstoppable. You have to be able, this athletic dominance to an extremely high degree of somebody doing something that's unstoppable has to be factored into why they're such great players. And there's certain players that do it much more greater than others, like Shaq, LeBron, MJ, where they're in the Giannis, where they're in the tier of their own of just ridiculous dominance and will. Guys like Zach LaVine or, players like that might be lower down the tier of that, but you still have to factor into why they're so great. And athletic dominance is a real thing that you just can't do anything about it. So I want to see what you think about that.
I couldn't agree more. Athletic dominance is definitely a big component of a great player. But not all great players. There's only a few, like you said, who have true athletic dominance, like the Shaqs, the LeBrons, you know what I mean? Bird didn't have nothing like that. Magic didn't have nothing like that. David Robinson, the Admiral, has something like that. Those players, when they take off, it's something crazy. And it's like nothing you can do about it. Michael Jordan, like you said, he has the ability to contort his body in ways. And they were saying that, what's his name? Elgin Baylor was the first person to do this. And I think more Dr. J, David Thompson really led up to what Jordan is. It became, so his concerning the air. I mean, you see him do all kinds of crazy stuff with his body because once he goes in the air, it's like he's just up there for 10 minutes. You just wait for him to come back down. It's crazy. And then here's another thing. Athletic dominance is such a strength. We're going to talk about Shaq, LeBron, Giannis. These are those players who, if they're coming at you full speed, the only thing you want to do is get out the way. You don't want to get hurt. That's 6'9", 250 if it's LeBron. That's like 7 foot, 6'11", 250 coming at you if it's Giannis. And heck, if you got Shaq coming at you, that's 350 pounds coming at you. You out the way. Because what's going to happen? All you're going to do is just bounce off. It's like, LeBron don't get hurt for real. How many times every shot that LeBron makes in the hole, he makes the layups. You know what I mean? When he's driving the basketball to the hole. Every time he goes up, it's a foul. Yeah. But he's so strong, it doesn't even affect him. Yeah. The refs stop calling it. They call it very rarely, but every time he goes to the hole, it's a foul. Every single time. Why is it a foul? It's because he's so strong that they have to do everything in their power to try to stop him from scoring, and it still doesn't work. How many times have we seen him double clutch the basketball, get fouled, and the ball still goes in, and he raises his elbow like this and flexes a muscle?
Power.
And walks away like nothing. Power. How many times have we seen Shaq get the ball down low? He got everybody to him is a Mighty Mouse. Got a Mighty Mouse on him. He turns around. Barbecue chicken. Dunks on him.
Yep.
And goes back the other way. Anything. Can't do nothing about it.
Nope.
You can't even stop it. Even if you push him, you can't stop it.
No.
Giannis. We seen Giannis take souls. Pause. When he was running down the court, he's coming at you. That's 6'11", 7 foot, probably 200, 300 pounds, muscle, jacked. Coming at you full speed, and all he gonna do is run, jump, dunk. That's what I used to call him a couple years ago. Giannis run, jump, dunk, Antetokounmpo. That's all he did. Run, jump, and dunk. Yeah. But you can't stop it.
Nope.
Dominance. Athletically. He jumped over, what was it, Tim Hardaway Jr.?
Yeah.
I think it was Tim Hardaway Jr.
A lot of bodies. He's got a lot of bodies.
He jumped over him. Literally coming down and jumped over him like he was nothing in the game. I think it was Tim Hardaway Jr., if I'm not mistaken. Crazy. It's the athletic gifts that these greats possess. There's nothing you could do about it. And that's what makes them dominant. That's what makes them great. Not everybody who is athletically gifted is going to be great. But these players have been able to take that and factor it into their greatness.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have anything else you want to say?
We can move on.
All right. So the next one is tough shot making. So not everybody's ability to score is similar, and its effect on the NBA basketball game. So what I mean by that is, let's say, for example, I'm sure you're going to enjoy tearing down my guy named James Harden. Let's say, for example, a lot of the things that James Harden does in the regular season were system-based, right? He's manipulating the offense, defense, all those type of things, but not everything he was doing was a tough shot. It was more like imposing, trying to, get around and get foul calls. And he gets in the playoffs and they call less fouls and he's less effective. There is an extreme value in guys' ability to hit tough shots, because when you're hitting a tough shot, what that means is you're not trying to draw a foul call. You're hitting a shot that the other person just can't block. Look at Kobe Bryant. Look at his footwork. Everything he shot was a tough shot. Everything in the mid-range was off balance, in the air, fadeaways, moving one way, moving the other. How many times did you see Kobe Bryant coming off an off-ball screen and just getting like wide open looks? Just like, oh, this is an easy shot. You know what I mean? Like, no, right? No. That's why these type of players are so much more valuable, because of their ability to hit tough shots. So Larry Bird couldn't move. The man barely could move, okay? Standing for one spot, he's going to shoot with his awkward form. He's going to shoot it over you, and there's nothing you can do because they're all tough shots. Who's shooting like that? Like, who's, what are you going to do about it? Ability to hit tough shots is extremely valuable, that leads to real value in the playoffs, because you can't do anything about it. There's no scheme that you can run. Look at Steph Curry. Look at Steph Curry's ability to hit extremely tough shots. I don't care if it's the playoffs. I don't care if it's the regular season. I don't care if it's preseason. I don't care if they're playing against Mexico. He's going to hit it, okay? He's going to hit these extremely ridiculously tough shots from the deep three-point line. And it has so much value because you can't block it. You can't do anything about it. What are you going to do? You got to blitz him, throw two people at him at the volleyball line? Okay, well, then he's going to cut to the basket when he gets rid of the ball, and he's going to be wide open to the rim, or he's going to kick it to the corner from collapsing the defense. Like, it's just, what are you doing? Because that has so much extreme value, because the defense has to overplay to stop it, or they just can't stop it, and you're dropping 50 that night. It's you have to choose between one or the other. KD's a guy like that. KD's a guy that's just tough shots, nothing you can do about it. I don't care. He's going to hit it in your face. Right? There is extreme. You have to really be able to value this as well with your equations of greatness. I mean, Kareem. Nobody's doing anything about those sky hooks. Only guy that could block him was Wilt. His extreme, difficult, tough shots. The man in the 80s, when he was slowing down athletically with Magic, he was still extremely valuable because the man could hit those tough shots at an extremely high clip. Right? Real value, have to equate that with their greatness. And, that's something I definitely want to talk about, because not everybody's ability to score equates to the game and the way they manipulate defenses equally. And guys who hit tough shots like that are more important and more valuable. That's what I'm thinking. What do you think about that? I think Kyrie Irving's a great example of that as well.
Kyrie Irving is a great example of that. He's a magician with the basketball. When he's going for his layup package is like undeniable. Mm-hmm. His handles are undeniable. So I'm gonna go and start with Steph Curry, right? Yeah. Steph Curry is the one guy we know currently, who everything he does is a tough shot.
Yes.
Yes, there might be a little bit more flopping involved, and I think so at some point. But there's not one shot where he doesn't have to run a track meet while somebody chased behind him to get a shot that he end up hitting while falling out of bounds. Yeah. It's like nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
Kobe, another one. How many highlights or games have we seen where the ball is in Kobe's hands and there he has two defenders on him, and he knocks down the shot with two hands in his face? Like, you're not even there. I see over you. What? The ability to make these tough shots makes the game easier for everybody else, because it's exactly what you said. It puts fear in the defense that they either feel that there's nothing they can do, no matter what they do, there's nothing to stop that, or they feel that as long as we can stop everybody, like, we know you're going to get off, but if we can stop everybody else, we can still win this game. They have two choices at that point.
Yeah.
And that's where this factors in so much. The Steph Currys. I mean, like I just said previously with the last one, the LeBron. Like, the fact that LeBron, when he drives the basketball, that there's absolutely nothing you can do about that. And that every time he goes up, you're fouling him, and you still like, dag, I pulled his arm down and it didn't even move. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and he still was able to make the layup. That makes the game easier for everybody else. And then that's where the passing, the trust of the teammates step in.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now we can take the components we already talked about and put them all together now. Right? Scoring, passing, and scoring, passing, and mindset. So the scoring part makes the game easier for your teammates, right? The fact that you built the trust with your passing lets them know that even in those moments, you trust me enough to take that shot. And that's where it comes into the mindset, because now you know the psychology of your teammates and of the game of basketball, which can in turn make you a great player, because you understand that as long as I keep doing what I'm doing, Steph Curry making these ridiculous threes falling out of bounds, shooting from the volleyball line, LeBron James driving to the basket at such a rate that you like, dang, like I can't do nothing about it. It's either I get in here, take this charge, and go to the hospital, or I let him dunk on me, pretty much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's nothing you can do about that.
Yeah.
When you have those and then you factor that in, that makes a great player great, because they understand these components. They understand that if I'm great at one thing, it makes the team better, and it grows the trust of the team, which then in turn equates to winning.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like that was a really good breakdown right there. All right. Are you ready to talk about next thing up on the list is defending?
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Okay, yeah. See, a guy who's a good example of this is Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic may be an offensive nuclear weapon waiting to explode, but he get exposed on defense all the time. All the time. Switches, we saw in the Golden State Warriors, they were attacking him when they were on offense, and they were making him work, and they were exposing his lack of defense. See, if you're not at least an average defender in the NBA like Steph Curry is, where Steph Curry is an average defender, he might get switched because he's smaller, right? But he is at least an average defender in the NBA, where it's not like so ridiculously bad like Luka, where he's going to get exposed. Look at James Harden. Mm-hmm. James Harden used to get chased. They were running after him. Please guard me when you're on defense. Okay. Right. It was an issue. It was a real problem until like maybe 3 years ago. Like early on in the Houston Rockets career, he was chilling on defense, picking his nose and blowing bubbles. I don't know, but he was really, really chilling. And effort's a part of that. And there are different tiers of defense, but you have to understand that the great defenders give extreme advantages, because a guy like Draymond Green, they don't have any, other than Klay Thompson for a while, but right now they don't have any other All-NBA defender on that team. Like, you can't even make an argument with me about that. Like, it's not even close. Like, Wiggins might be at top 5, top 6 small forward defender, but he's not top 2, which is all NBA, or top 3 if you want to consider three defensive team, and whatever you want to that's beside the point. But Draymond Green's defensive value allows a team to have players like Steph Curry on the team that might be average defenders. They've never had a great defender at the center position. That's just ridiculous. Like, Kevon Looney's not a great defender at the rim. He's a very okay one, but he's not overly dominant. That Andrew Bogut, he wasn't a great defender at the rim, right? Great individual defenders allow you to not have to overplay your hand and overseek for great defenders like that to equate to winning on your team, right? They really impact winning. Draymond Green's a great example of that. Scottie Pippen, dear goodness. Scottie Pippen is the greatest small forward defender of all time. And that team, MJ and Scottie, is a great example of, if you put two of these guys that are ridiculously special together, we can be like, look, we're shutting down everybody, okay? Because if a great defender finds another great defender, now we're talking. Look at Giannis. Giannis was the greatest defender on those Bucks teams for the past 6-8 years, but they didn't become a great defense until they added Jrue Holiday. Now they have two defenders together, and now it's like, whoa, this defense is tough. What are we going to do? Like, you have to be able to equate defense. Great defensive players may not be as important as passing, may not be as important as averaging 28 a game, but it really allows the team to be creative with their defensive schemes, to get creative with the way they build teams. And it really allows the team to really just have something that can stop other players, to really wear down other players. Having a great defender on your team allows you to be more versatile, and it really the defense has led to winning and at least a little bit for a very long time. Offense is more important now, but defense still really matters. I mean, this during an NBA Finals, we got to see that with the Boston Celtics versus the Golden State Warriors and the Miami Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals. Like, all these teams have great defenders, and it really increases the value. Like, a guy that, in my opinion, rose astronomically in value because of his defense is Jason Tatum. I view Jason Tatum completely differently now because of what he does defensively. He is a completely different tier. Before that, it was like 15 to 20. Now it's like top 10. Like, he's really knocking on the door. Like, what he does on both ends is ridiculous. Like, that you have to really, this really adds to your versatility as a player, because having a really bad defender be a great, like Melo, having a really terrible defender as your greatest scorer really lessens how great I view you. Because if you just get hunted, what's the point of getting buckets on one end if you're giving up buckets on the other end? Like, how valuable are you really? Right? So, it's about not being a super weak link like Steph. Like, I can't view Steph. If Steph was a terrible defender, I would not view him the way I do. But he is. Magic had issues defensively because he wasn't a great lateral athlete, but he still put in effort. He was still an average defender, right? Luka's a great example of somebody right now that has issues defensively and gets exposed night in, night out. And it's great guys like LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Hakeem Olajuwon, and defense has kind of changed as well, because now it's about switchability. Draymond Green's extremely valuable because he guards 135, and we're trying to get switches, and LeBron was extremely valuable because of switches. Used to be in the 60s, 70s, 80s, it was about great center defenders because everybody's trying to get at the rim. Shooting guards are posting. Like, I'm not kidding. If you watch the 70s, some shooting guards are posting. I'm talking about on the block posting. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, everything was built around trying to get efficient looks at the basket. So, because of that, it's about, we have to have great defensive centers. Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Hakeem Olajuwon, David Robinson. Hakeem Olajuwon averaged like 4.4 blocks a game for a few years. So did David Robinson. They had a ridiculous run in the 90s where these guys are just impacting games because of interior defense. So, the value in the players that have been valuable has changed with the game. But, you have to really understand and equate somebody's defensive value to how valuable they are in the game of basketball. Because a guy like Larry Bird, if he was a great defender, we'd be talking top 5 all time. Like, it would be like if he was Scottie Pippen on defense, we'd be like, what does he not do? You know what I mean? But, the reason why some people, you can make an argument for Larry Bird not being as great as he would be because what he does offensively is his slow feet. He tries on defense, but, slow feet don't eat. He just has slow feet, has issues. But he was an average defender because of effort. So it's not an overly negative. You know what I mean? So there's differing variables on defense, but you have to really factor it in when you try to equate how great somebody is.
And one thing I do want to say is that when you're a great defender, it makes offense easier, because that you're going to get more chances. Like, look at Kawhi and Paul George, or let's not look at them together. Let's just look at Kawhi. Kawhi, he's built to defend. Boardman gets paid, right? Blocking shots, being a menace on the defensive end, guarding somebody. He knows he's going to get multiple chances to score because he has quick hands, quick feet, so he can get the ball out and go down the other way, and he's scoring. Those are qualities that great defenders have. Look at Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman may not have scored more than 10 points ever.
I'm glad you brought him
up.
But
greatest defender we've probably ever seen, or probably have never seen, because some of us have not seen Dennis Rodman play. You know what I mean? We may have only seen highlights. He's that's just pure effort. I mean, he's all over the place, diving for loose balls. You can't get nothing. You can't get nothing. He's blocking shots, and it just makes everything easier. That's one less thing that you have to worry about. Yeah. On the when you're on a basketball court. Not saying that you don't have to defend because you have a great defender, but that's just one less thing. Because think about this, for example. You mentioned that in the older days, we really put a lot of emphasis on the center defender.
Yeah.
Right? Defending the basket because everybody's really close.
Poor Rudy
If you didn't have a Wilt or a Bill Russell down there, then the other team's going to run through you. Yep. You can't do nothing about that. But the fact that you have such a dominating, menacing, person down there at the block, you know what I mean? Force. I'm going to say force. I want to say that, not person.
Yeah.
Force. Defensive force down there. Everything that goes up is coming back towards you. Yeah. After a while, you're like, Dad, what can I do? Mm-hmm. That's what makes Bill Russell so great because he was a great shot blocker, great defender, but he also had the mindset and the basketball IQ enough to go, hey, listen, I'm able to get up here because I have such long arms. I can grab this ball while I'm in the air. Let me just block it to our teammate. We go the other way, fast break. That's why they called it the Boston because they were so great at running fast breaks because of the defensive prowess of Bill Russell on the other end that allowed these fast breaks to be possible. If you can't get inside and everything goes up is blocked or it's rebounded, then you can't do anything about it. Defense is important when you talk about the great players or just the great defenders, period, is because that makes the game easier. Mm-hmm. If you know that you have somebody down there who's going to either A, block, be a menace, foul, or rebound at such a high level, then there's nothing that the offense can do. They have 5 plus like a big one that they have to defend. They have to worry about. It's different, and then where it gets even more special, right, is when you have a player like LeBron, Jordan, Kobe, who can also put pressure on the ball on both sides of the floor. Mm-hmm. When the ball is in these guys' hands, you know it's going to be a problem for you. You have a long night defensively.
Yep.
But then you also know that when you have the ball, you have to worry about them as well. So it's like you don't have a night off. It makes the game easier for everybody, but the game harder for the other team because they have a long night. When you have the game plan around, okay, wait, we have to figure out how we're going to get past this guy defensively, and we have to figure out how we're going to stop him offensively. That's nerve-wracking.
You got to worry about somebody for 48 minutes of a game where that's just like
on both sides.
Both sides, yep.
You have to worry about it for 48 minutes of the game on both sides.
Yeah.
It becomes nerve-wracking. It can actually like mentally collapse a team. If you like, dang, I can't stop him over here. I can't stop him, and he gonna stop me over here. Every time I go up, think about this for example. When LeBron was couple years, back, you know what I mean? Maybe like year 16, 15, when he was chasing everybody down. You don't think that put a strain on offenses?
Yes. Yeah.
When he literally was like, I'm like, he's not even trying on defense, and he would do it on purpose just so he could chase you down.
Yeah.
That's demoralizing.
Chase down blocks is LeBron James's crescendo. NBA Finals, Iguodala, J.R. Smith cuts him off. Wow.
Yeah.
Man. Great moments.
It's like, he makes everything. We have to worry about that, you think like, oh man, he's not even trying on defense, and then he was letting you go by purposely so he could chase you down. You know what that does for the crowd, for the team, and for the opposing team? That demoralizes, lifts your team up because you're like, no matter if he gets by me or not, we have LeBron. Yeah. No matter if he gets by me or not, we have Mike. No matter if he gets past me or not, we have AD a couple years ago. No matter if he gets past me or not,
Giannis.
We have Kobe. No matter if he gets past me or not, we have Shaq, Wilt, Bill Russell.
Yep.
No matter if these guys get past me, I'm not going to be demoralized by it. I'm not going to feel bad because we got these guys right now waiting in the wing. And they're striking fear defensively and offensively into the team.
Yeah, it's true.
Basketball is more mental than we think it is.
Mm-hmm.
You could be a great player, great scorer, but it's mental.
Great defenders do strike fear into offensive players.
Yes.
Yeah.
And great scorers strike fear into defensive players.
Yeah.
It's psychological. It's all mental. It's a mental game.
Yeah, I agree with you, Chris. Yeah. Is there anything you want to talk about before we kick it to rebounding, and then we'll talk about some other things? Okay, so the rebounding is probably not going to take as long because it's lost its value as in the modern NBA, more people shoot threes. When you shoot threes, naturally rebounds come off the rim a little farther out than when you're shooting like in the post and it bounces off with less force. So, great rebounders are a little more less valuable now because of the different ways the ball can come off the rim. That's why you see a lot of guards now have Russell Westbrook with 10 rebounds because everything is coming off the rim differently. But especially with earlier days in basketball, rebounds were really, really important because, one, they weren't as efficient at scoring the basketball, so second chance opportunities were extremely important. And it was about controlling the pace of the game, and it was about, once you miss once, oh my gosh, that guy's near the rim, we're never going to get this ball back. That's real fear. And somebody that really epitomizes the value of rebounding in his era, I think is a little underrated, is Moses Malone. Moses Malone's the greatest rebounder of all time. And some people say Dennis Rodman. I don't want to hear it. Okay, the man would average like 15, 16 rebounds a game. Like, you have to watch it, and then you understand it. He just had some magical connection with the ball when it was coming out the rim, like he was dating it. It's like it's like some sort of mental ridiculousness that Dennis Rodman could do, but it's just Moses was greater at it. Where Moses won the MVP, right when he the 76ers won the championship of the 81 or 82 or something like that, where he was the best player on the team, better than Dr. J. He was dominant. His ability to put force on the game through rebounding was ridiculous because he was able to dominate the game. Oh, we missed. Okay, we're not going to get back. Oh, we had a great possession. We were playing great defense. Oh, crap. Moses Malone's at the rim. He's going to get this rebound. Right? It has real value for people who did it at an extremely high level earlier in basketball. Now, Moses Malone might not be as valuable now because the ball is coming off the rim in different ways, like I explained. But pre-2010, this is really valuable. Dennis Rodman, ridiculous at it, really valuable at it. Tim Duncan, power forwards in the Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett were great rebounders. You have to elevate how much you view them. And, the people who can do everything in the game of basketball have no weaknesses, usually are good rebounders as well. So, Giannis is a great rebounder right now as well, too. So, it doesn't have as much value as defense as, well, in the 70s, 80s, it had more value than defense. But now that we're talking about it's an intricate thing, so I want to see what you think about it.
I would say it still holds up to the same amount of value.
Really?
Because like
like today,
I would.
Okay.
I would, even though we shoot longer, even though but still, it's getting control of the ball. That's a turnover. That's demoralizing, especially if you have already like 6 turnovers and you just a point away. Somebody gets the rebound, the whole game shifts. You know what I mean? You can slow the tempo down. Okay, we got one shot. You know what I mean? We get to try this. You know what I mean? Rebounding becomes really important, especially in those clutch moments. And even during, may not be like completely all throughout the game. But if you're down and you're like, one rebound can change the whole tide of a game. And, either way it goes. We've seen this many times. You know what I mean? Like, you've been down, you give it to your star, the guy shoots, he misses, rebound. The crowd's quiet now. I don't know what to do now. We're about to lose. It's 5, 4, 3. Oh, we lost the game. You know what I mean? It can it can go that way.
Yeah.
Because what the rebound does is, and what basketball is and always will be a game of runs. Rebounding allows those runs to start. Defensively, you know what I mean? You lock down, you grab the rebound. Okay, we're on our way. Fast break, or we're slowing it down. More than likely, you're going on the fast break. What you do then, from there on, you have choices. You have layup, you have mid-range, you have 3-point. Whatever shot it goes from there, that all starts because of the rebound. And then it comes back the other way, and then you're like, okay, we can do this again. Let's stop them, get the rebound, Boom. Now we're on a run. Now we're on 8-0 run, 12-0 run, 16-0 run, 20-0 run. Basketball becomes a game of runs because of how important the rebound is. If rebounds wasn't important, then it will always just be a one-sided game. It will always just be a one-sided game if rebounds weren't important. Because nobody will ever have to, because it would be like nobody would ever be trying to get the ball. There would never be this demoralizing feeling of like, oh man, they missed it, but they got it back. They get a second chance. Because the rebounding gives you know what I mean? It's basically turns the ball over. That's what it's called. It's called turnover. Rebounding turns the ball over and gives the other team a chance to score. So I think it's very important still.
Okay. I feel like that's a good argument. I feel like it's definitely doing a good job to try to explain to these listeners why, you know, all these type of things go into the equation of greatness. And, you know, since we've talked about, you know, the main factors that go into the equation of greatness, the reasons why it's so important for you guys to understand these things is people who do not understand basketball and can explain basketball to that extent will always use rings and stats to explain the game of basketball. True shooting percentage, efficient field goal percentage. These things has allowed trying to get the game of basketball into one statistic, the value of a player, has allowed people to become a little more dulled at their understanding of the game of basketball. Because they don't think about it, right? Oh, I see these stats. Oh, I'm reading about my players, right? I see the stats. Okay, 10 seconds. Okay, I understand how good of a player is. No, you can't. You can't ever put down basketball into one statistic. You just can't. You never will be able to. Ever. I don't care what somebody's field goal percentage was in 1980. You can't understand how great of a player he was based upon that. You can't tell by the amount of points somebody scores. You know what I mean? Like Karl Malone's a top 5 all-time scorer, but we never talked about Karl Malone being a top 5 all-time player. Why? Because he is a great player, yes, but he's not top 5. You know what I mean? Like, in rings, people who do not know basketball, when you ask them to debate a player, they will bring up rings first.
Skip.
Exactly. MJ has 6 rings, 6 for 6. Woo! I know basketball. I probably can't describe why Michael Jordan's so great, but you know what I mean? I know basketball. You know what I mean? It would be a great questionnaire if I said, okay, MJ's your favorite player, right? Okay, then what is his top signature move? And they don't say fade away, I don't trust you. Okay? Yeah. Like, I would love to mess with people who really think they're like, oh yeah, I know basketball, blah, 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 blah. Oh, he doesn't have rings to find a player. I don't care if he doesn't have rings. The point of this podcast is to broaden your mind a little bit, to make your own decisions, to really learn why certain players are more valuable than other players. You have to really understand these things, just like the Kobe lovers. Kobe's not top 5 all time. I'm sorry to break it to you. From these things that we talked about today, you should understand why, right? Okay, this is a great explanation of why LeBron James is the greatest basketball player of all time. Because yes, MJ is a great athletic dominance. Yes, MJ can score the lights out of the basketball. Yes, they're both amazing defenders. But MJ has weaknesses. Can't shoot the 3-point shot very well, and doesn't uplift his teammates. So LeBron James is a great scorer. Is he as great as Michael Jordan? No, but let's say 2K ratings, Michael Jordan's a 99 scoring, LeBron James is a 95. Let's say defensively, Michael Jordan's a 99, LeBron's a 98. Let's say passing-wise, MJ's a 78, 76, 77, LeBron James is a 98. That should make things simple for you because he's elevating everybody else around him, making everything easier for everybody else, and it's never going to go in the stat sheet. His scoring, plus his passing, plus his rebounding, plus his defending makes him the greater player because he's complete. He does everything at an extremely high level, and his ability to pass the basketball so ridiculously well with his scoring ability combines into a player that is more valuable than a guy who's a little better scorer, because it just creates the more impact on the game of basketball. You have to be able to understand that, because if you don't, because it's more complicated than just rings. Yeah, he went 6 for 6, but he had one of the greatest coaches of all time. He had the greatest small forward in those 6-year time frame, which is Scottie Pippen, right? And he had a great defensive team that complemented him, and an offense that was before its time, and it was different than anybody else was doing in the triangle. Those things impacted why he won, right? Bill Russell having the Olympic team around him impacted why he won, right? It's more complex than just rings when we're trying to determine who is the better player. Another example of this is Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is somebody that you need to look at and say, man can score everything. Man's a pretty solid defender, but his lack of passing gets exposed against the Boston Celtics. And when he doesn't have a top 10 all-time point guard with him on his team, I'm talking about Kyrie, Steph Curry, and Russell Westbrook, he looks easy to expose because he has weaknesses in his game that makes his team worse than it would be if he was just at least average or above average or good at that. Makes him less great. And somebody that today is not widely accepted as the number one player in the league is Giannis Antetokounmpo. There are still debates about this. There are still people talking about why Giannis is not number one. Why Jokic? Why Embiid? Why KD? Why LeBron? It should be Giannis by a gazillion miles right now. This is Giannis's league. Because yes, he does score 3-point shots. Yeah, it's not that super fancy. But the man ability to, one, be so physically dominant and put so much force at the rim, and everything's a tough shot, and his athletic greatness is so dominant that makes everything easier for everybody else. And you know what he does on top of that? He passes the lights out of the basketball. You want to run complex defenses to throw. 3 years ago, when the Miami Heat were running the defense where they were just stopping him at the rim and exposed him, he's grown since then, and his passing ability is elite. He improves his teammates to an extremely high level. And he does it on the other end as well. He's a top 3 defender in the league. Ridiculous. Rebounds the basketball. It should be him by a million miles because his impact on basketball is so much more grander than anything else. You should have Magic Johnson really high because he impacts basketball on an extremely high level. You should understand that Shaq's ridiculous, and Shaq should be insanely highly rated because what he did physical dominance-wise. It's why Wilt is better than Bill Russell. Bill Russell's a great defender, yes. Does he have great mind? Yeah. But he couldn't score more than 20 points a game, so there's a limitation on how great he really is. Because if he doesn't have a team around him that has all these great, highly skilled players, that he doesn't have those rings, right? Wilt's dominance, Wilt's physical dominance, Wilt's passing, Wilt led the league in the passing 1 year, then assist 1 year. Like, you have to factor in all those things to understand why Wilt is so great. See, this should allow you to broaden your mind to understand why some players are better than others and why this really matters. This podcast really matters because you guys will learn to interpret what players are really better than what other players. Like Nikola Jokic is ridiculous right now. Nikola Jokic is a great passer, great scorer. He might not be physically gifted athletically, but what he does elevates his teammates and is so amazing. Right? It's just, there are certain players that when we talk about all time, sometimes the great scorers get overrated a little bit. Like a guy like Kobe, you need to move him down the list, be a little less biased to what you've seen recently, and expand your mind to understand why players like Larry Bird, Magic, LeBron should be ahead of him. There is a correct way to view basketball, and the reason why is because you should analyze what wins championships and what players really impact basketball by understanding who's won rings. Understand why passing is more important, because every team that wins rings are good at passing. They're usually good at defending. They usually have one guy that's ridiculously hard to stop. That's why they win, right? Those type of things should go into greatness, and you should be able to see through rings, see through stats, see through 5 seconds looking into the stat sheet and those stupid efficiency models that I hate so much. It bugs the poo out of me because, Jokic won MVP this year because he was, efficiency models really, really like him. Like, you have to understand that things are more complicated than that. And this is the point of this podcast.
I just want to go into real quick the reason why we have this, I would say, thought, right, is because of basketball media. They have put such an emphasis on rings and have equated a team accolade and made it an individual accolade when it's not.
Yeah.
That's why you have players who leave teams now, and you're like, I wish it was like the 90s. No.
Yeah.
Those guys. I wish it was like the 80s. Everybody stayed with the same team. The reason why you have that is because of basketball media. Basketball media has put such an emphasis on rings that now if you don't have a ring, no matter what gifts you possess and how great you are on the basketball court, you will never be great in their eyes until you win.
Yeah.
LeBron, a great basketball player, right? There was times where Stephen A came on the show and was like, what have you done? Win something for once. Win. His greatness is spewing. Is leaking. Great.
Mm-hmm.
Greatness on the basketball court. Greatness off the court. And you just like win something. I mean, like, yeah, of course, you want to reach the pinnacle, you want to win a championship, but that's a team accolade. You can't go, well, LeBron lost his game, the Cavs lost that game. Yeah. You can't go, you know what I mean? You can't go the Miami. You can't go, well, LeBron lost the game for the Miami Heat because he had a meltdown. It's a team game.
Yeah.
One player does have an impact. You know what I mean? When your star player doesn't quite step up, it can make a difference. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong. But it's a team sport, a team accolade. MVP, even though it's very skewed in how they view it, and there might be some voter fatigue, and you're like, I don't really like this guy, so I'm not going to vote for him, but I like this guy, and so I'm going to vote for him. Because that's an individual accolade. MVPs are earned.
Yeah.
Scoring titles are earned.
Yeah.
Assist records are earned. Those are individual accolades. That's not something that a team does together. I mean, well, in a sense, yeah. Because when it comes to passing, the fact that assists only happens when the person scores.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit more of a team thing. But it's still an individual. It's the individual who passes the ball, not the individual who scores the ball.
Yeah. Yeah. I think one sad thing about, the current state of NBA fans is, we grew up in a highlight culture. I love watching highlights like everybody else. Steph Curry's highlights, insane. Oh my gosh, he's hitting this ridiculous shot. Oh my gosh, LeBron James jumped over that guy. That's insane. Vince Carter's got great highlights where he's dunking over that guy. That's insane. I challenge you to watch Steph Curry for 24 seconds on a shot clock. See, look at the way he manipulates defense and look at the way things are done much more than just the shot, much more than just him hitting a three-point shot. Look at the way the defense has to move and, the way it impacts it and the way the defense has to overplay and overstep to step. Because once he passes the ball, he's running around, right? He's running around screens. He's being active. So the defense has to overplay and just chase him around. Their eyes are on him. And then that's why you see a bunch of backdoor cuts by Draymond Green and Andrew Wiggins, because the defense and their eyes are on him, right? Manipulation of defense is completely underrated on how you evaluate a player. Because once you understand the way somebody manipulates defense, then you can understand that there is more impactful things than just somebody scoring because of somebody's gifts ability to manipulate defenses. That's why why a lot of people from our era who are highlight watchers and don't really understand the depths of basketball, we'll see Michael Jordan be like, well, that guy does ridiculous things and he scores on everybody and his highlights are insane. So why wouldn't I understand why the debate of a guy like LeBron James should be better than him? Because you may not understand that pass that he makes to the corner, right, who's wide open at the 3-point line because he just manipulated the defense. I may not understand how valuable that is and how that happened, right? But that's the point of this podcast. It's to broaden your mind to really understand that there is more to basketball than just scoring. There's more to basketball than what goes onto a stat sheet. And when you equate greatness, you have to put these things into perspective. And once you really, I challenge you, all it takes is 24 seconds of watching Steph because he'll manipulate a defense even if he doesn't score. And then you'll understand and you'll see for yourself that, oh, there's more to basketball than I thought, right? And I feel like that's the point of this podcast, man. It's about learning and growing, and then you guys can understand why we have some extreme takes of like why we have Wilt so high, because the man manipulates defenses on an extremely high level. Why we have some guys that you might think, oh, those are ridiculous takes. Like, no, we've researched these things. We really understand basketball to a high degree, and this is. I mean, we're all. This podcast will always be a journey of learning more about basketball, right? I'm sure next year we're gonna know more basketball and even have a more deeper understanding. You know what I mean? And it's about helping you guys learn these things and joining the team of trying to understand why basketball is just so much more complex than the highlights, so much more complex than the stats, and that's what this is about, man. Just, this is what it's about.
Yeah, just going on the journey and learning, make it a learning journey. Because when you take all the things we talked about today, the scoring, the rebounding, the mindset, the defense, you mix all that together, you get a great player. When you have players who do that at a high level, you have greatness.
Yeah.
Great players have a way, even if they're not the best at it, they have the way of extracting and getting the best out of everybody around them, getting the best out of the opposition. They have a way of doing these things of really just leading to a winning culture.
Yep.
Where they are.
Yeah.
And that's just what it is, man. That's the equation of greatness, And you have anything else you want to talk about?
No, man. I feel like this was a really good podcast. This was a really good idea. I had a feeling it was going to work out like this. So I hope you guys enjoyed the good content.
Yeah, man, for sure. All right, man. So this is the end. My name is Chris.
My name is Jason.
And we are the Basketball Addicts. Peace.
Out.